No, that is really interesting, and you actually helped me to sort of crystallize a couple of let's call them Christological cultural moments. Now, one of them is going to be very time sensitive, but anyone can look this up if they're watching this in the future. If you were watching the news at all during this past summer, then you were aware that someone attempted to assassinate Donald Trump, which obviously we would both condemn wholeheartedly. However, amongst his followers, especially his professing Christian followers, there developed a tendency to anoint Trump with this messianic aura, especially after that. And it got weird. It got into territory of like, I think shapes in the sky, and like it started to get to a level that almost anyone would call cultic, and you could probably, would we agree, you could probably at the fringes find some easy parallels to this in the semi-deification of Adolf Hitler?
That's a hot take.
I said the fringes. I'm not saying that I'm not saying anyone on the right who expressed how awful it was that someone tried to assassinate a presidential candidate was like a Nazi follower. But I'll start with the left since that's my quote unquote tribe. Every nation in history that has claimed the title of Christian has attempted to view Jesus of Nazareth as one of their tribe. And you see this all over the world. You see white Jesus in Europe, black Jesus in Africa, and in a lot of black communities today. You see Asian Jesus. You see everything oftentimes except for the if we're going to go by ethnicity, the actual Jesus. I think we would probably agree that on the Chosen series, Jonathan Rumi, being kind of half Middle Eastern, probably represents the ethnicity of Jesus as well as anyone's ever going to.
Yeah.
He would look much more like an Arab than he would like anyone else, but maybe a light-skinned Arab. Sure. And culturally, his culture would have much more resembled a modern Arab culture than anything in the West or the East today. So, which is ironic because the Middle East being majority Muslim, they probably do portray Jesus as a Middle Easterner, but I don't know that it's as much of an ethno thing because they're so self-aware that they are the direct descendants of the people in one way or another, however mixed the genealogies have become after the Muslim conquest and such. They are actually the people of that region or their descendants. So maybe it's not as much of an issue for them. I don't know. There's more of that in Catholicism. Is it like, do Byzantine Catholics and such, or any Middle Eastern Catholics or whatever that is, do they ethnicize Jesus?
Well, so the nearest Byzantine Catholic parish to me is a Melkite parish. And the Melkites are from the Jordan, Palestine, Israel region. So they don't really need to ethnize Jesus. They speak Arabic. That's their native language. There are portions of the liturgy that are in Arabic. So it's very much like they're from the region of the world that Jesus would have been from. And then it's interesting in Orthodoxy and in kind of Eastern Christianity, this isn't really an issue because icons are very consciously spiritual and how do you say spiritual portraits. So you have Jesus, his skin tone changes, but it's kind of irrelevant because all icons generally look the same. So you have lighter and less lighter, but they're not making a statement on the race of Jesus because all the peripheral details of what he looks like are kind of the same, basically.
So it's not a cultural appropriation of any kind, essentially.
I would say that if you look at a Russian icon, the race isn't the important thing. It's more like they're painted more gaunt-like because It represents the severity of the spiritual life. In Egypt, Coptic icons have very large eyes to see what the Lord is doing, very large ears so you can hear his voice, and small mouths. Because spiritual life, you probably don't need to be doing a whole lot of speaking. It's the least important thing that you will be doing, right? So these are more spiritual portraits than anything else.